What up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Funboxing with Will. I'm your host, Will, from H2O Co. Film and Photos, and today we're going to be doing a comparison video to help you guys determine which drone, if you're in the market for a drone, you should go ahead and get. We're only going to be covering the two drones that I personally own myself, just because I know more about these drones than drones that I don't personally own. But the two drones we're going to be going over today are the DJI Mavic Mini and the DJI Mavic Air Ii. So yeah, let's get into this. Alrighty, well, so as I said, we're going to be going over a comparison video of the DJI Mavic Air Ii and the DJI Mavic Mini, just to give you guys kind of a feel of what kind of features each drone has, the price points, and what might work best for you and your personal needs. I will start off by saying that I am a firm believer in getting the Fly More packs. Whatever drone you do purchase, I picked up both of my drones in the Fly More kit, just simply because the added accessories and extra batteries that you get and such, they're worth so much more value than what you pay when you pick up the Fly More kit initially. If you were to buy these items separately from just buying the drone itself, you'd be paying upwards of $400 to $500 extra, rather than just picking up the kit itself that has it all at once. Like the Fly More kit for the DJI Mavic Mini, the drone itself is $399, but for an extra $100 you get 2 extra batteries, you get a battery bank charger, you get the propeller guards, you get a whole bunch of accessories that come with it, extra props and stuff. And each of the batteries for the Mavic Mini are like $79 a piece. So for essentially one battery, if you went to go buy one battery, you'd be pretty much paying the same price that you pay for all of the equipment that you're getting anyways. So I strongly believe in picking up the Fly More kit no matter what drone you buy. Now, as I just said, it was $399 for just the drone itself if you're looking at the Mavic Mini, and then $499 for the Fly More kit. And with the Mavic Air Ii, it's going to be $799 for just the drone, a battery, and the controller. If you get the Fly More kit, it comes with the charger, it comes with the 2 extra batteries, so you get a total of 3 batteries. You get the remote, you get adapters to hook up the batteries to make them essentially a power bank. Same with the Mini. You just get a lot of value in those Fly More kits, so I would definitely recommend going out and picking up the Fly More kits if you are in the market for a drone. And I apologize if I look behind me here at the screen on my computer. I have some of the statistics and the specs for each drone pulled up here from their website, just so that I can be 100% accurate on the information I give you guys. So we'll start off with the DJI Mavic Mini. Now, this drone, as you can see, I picked up a decal cover skin for it just to make it look cool, help me see it, because unbelievably, these things are incredibly hard to see when they're 100 feet up in the air, especially with the Mini, as it has such a small profile. Even with my larger drone, it's hard to see sometimes when it's that high up in the air, so I would suggest getting some type of a skin for it. Bright colors are generally easier to see out in the sun or in the sky, so that's what I went with, was a bright red color for my Mavic Mini's decal. Now, both drones are amazing pieces of machinery, and specifically the Mavic Mini, if you're trying to avoid registration, if you're one of those people who don't want people to know who you are, where you're at, what you're doing, I totally get it, and the Mavic Mini is a great option for that, because it comes in at 249 grams, which, with the local laws the way they are, any drone over 250 grams has to be registered with the FAA, and you have to have essentially a drone registration number that you have to put displayed on the outside of the drone somewhere, almost like a license plate, but for your drone. Now, that's cheap. It costs $5 to do so, But with the Mavic Mini, you don't have to do that because it comes in at exactly 1 gram underneath the FAA registration laws. So it's pretty awesome. I like that fact about it a lot. Now, for the money you're paying for the Mavic Mini, you're getting an incredible value. I to this day, I have not seen a better value as far as price point goes for a drone, period. Hands down, even with the Mavic Air Ii, even though it is an incredible deal. For what you get with this drone, it is crazy, crazy good. The drone itself, it hooks up to GPS, so it does have accurate positioning. The thing I like about the DJI drones is whether you fly them for cinematic reasons and you're trying to get that camera footage, or you fly them for just fun, just to be out there and fly around, they're very, very intelligent. The drone, because of the GPS satellite hookups, will literally just hover in one spot. If you let go of the controller with your hands, it won't move. I mean, granted, if there's strong wind, it can get pushed around a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it stays right where you tell it to go. And it's very agile, and the control responsitivity, or I don't know how you'd say that, the responsiveness of the control and the inputs that you put into these things is so good. It's incredible. I've flown a lot of cheap drones. If you're one of those people who goes out and tests the water with, like, say, a $50 $50 drone from Walmart or Best Buy, there's really no comparing the two different types of drones. They're just incomparable. Like the first drone I ever owned, actually about a year ago, I did a unboxing of it. It was I think it was a Sky Viper or something like that, and it was from Walmart. I paid almost $100 for it. So for a third of the price, I got the drone, and it was definitely, you could tell it was a third of the price, because you'd take up off the ground and the drone would go up, it would go down, it would veer to the left, it would veer to the right. You had to consistently have your hands on the joysticks just to try to get it to hover in the same space, and if you were to let go of the joysticks, it would just take off on you. A lot of those drones that they sell at those lower end prices, they say they have features like return to home, things like that of that nature. But when you press the return to home button, it essentially just lands the drone pretty much wherever. Some of them have kind of a memory to where it recognizes that it's about 20-30 feet off of where it originated from, so it'll veer off to any random direction a good 15-20 feet and then just land. It's kind of really ridiculous to have advertised on these drones that they do these things when in reality they really don't. However, with the Mavic Mini, it was the first drone I purchased. I noticed instantly the drone's return to home was incredible. I could literally take this thing out, fly it about 200 feet away from me, press the return to home button, and it would literally land within a foot from where it took off. So that is a feature that are in all of the DJI drones that is very useful and very accurate. Now, the range on this bad boy is, I forget the kilometer transfer, but it comes out to about 2.5 miles. Now, with the Mini, it runs off of an older style controller. It's a very ergonomic controller, and again, I have the decal on the controller too. It's really nice. The controller ergonomics is incredible. It has these fold-out handles that you mount your phone underneath, and it's a solid, sturdy hold on the phone. You're not going to drop your phone out of a DJI controller, hands down. But these run off of a single band Wi-Fi signal directly from the controller and the drone, so your phone does not have to have a Wi-Fi connection while you're flying. And it's just, it says it's a 2.5 mile radius or range, and I believe it if I was out, let's say, in an open field, like a cornfield or something, and there were no obstructions in the way. I could see it going the full 2.5 miles. But as far as being in the city and having internet, Wi-Fi transmissions all around you, it will interfere with the signal quite often, I found, and sometimes even a couple hundred feet away, I'll start having a little bit of an issue with the signal interference, and you'll get some choppiness in the video footage and stuff. Nothing serious, just a little minor lag, but it is kind of inconvenient, and it's not the best ideal situation for if you are using your drone to get cinematic footage. You don't want skips in your footage, you know. So that was something that I didn't quite enjoy about it, but other than that, it has an amazing array of features for being such a small drone. Not as many as the Mavic Air Ii, but still a good quality set of features. It has 4 quick shot modes, I believe, so you can do your circle, your helix, your droney, and your rocket. And now a rocket is, you pretty much essentially draw a square over your target on your phone screen through the camera. It'll lock onto the target, and then you just press the button, and it will initiate a sequence where the camera will stay focused on the target, and then it will, on the droney, it will fly backwards and elevate itself while it keeps you in frame and records. And then after the shot is completed, it will come back and return to the spot where it initiated the sequence. So if I have the drone 10 feet above me and then I press droney, it will go backwards 100 feet, keep me in frame, keep me recorded, and then it will come back to that position it was originally in, 10 feet out, 10 feet up off the ground, however, wherever I had it. The circular mode is pretty much the same thing. It just does a complete circle around you while it keeps you in the center of the frame and records you. Helix, it does the circle, but it kind of elevates up as it goes around in the circle, which is, it's nice, and they are very cinematic shots. With the rocket, it pretty much just looks at you and flies directly up about 120 feet, keeps you in frame. Now, the features that this comes with, it doesn't unfortunately shoot 4K, but it does shoot in 2.7K footage, which most of my footage I record is in 1080p, just because it's a lot lighter on your storage. It doesn't take up so much room. Speaking of storage, the Mini does not have any internal storage, so you will definitely have to remember your SD card if you hope to get any footage. I've had it a couple times where I've forgotten my SD card, and with other drones like the Mavic Air Ii, it's convenient because it has an 8 GB internal memory. So even if you do happen to forget your SD card, you can go ahead and still record a limited amount of footage, but still enough to get what you're trying to capture. The drone comes in at, like I said, I think 249 grams, and here it says the measurements are about 160 by 202 by 55 millimeters when open. As you can see, it is a very small profile drone. When it's folded up, you can actually fit this thing in your pocket, no problem at all. I wouldn't suggest carrying it around like that because you do have props here, these propellers that you have to keep good condition, and you also have a gimbal on the front that is a 3-axis gimbal, so you want to keep that gimbal guard on when you're transporting it. It comes with a gimbal guard, which is basically just a little piece of plastic that sits over the camera and protects it from getting jostled or tossed around. But look at how small that is. This is, for a comparison, this is my Samsung Galaxy S10 and this is my Mavic Mini. It is incredibly small. It's very lightweight, which is very, very awesome. It's a very useful feature to have, but at times it can be kind of an inconvenience, like on a windy day. It is very likely that you're going to lose your drone if you do not follow the warnings that come up on your screen as far as strong wind warnings. Please return to home. It can only handle winds, I believe, up to 18 miles an hour before the motors start to overload, and it can't handle that kind of a force pushed on it, so it'll start to drift away, you know. So if you're living in an area that is super windy a lot of the time, this probably wouldn't be the drone for you. You'd probably want something a little heftier and heavier that can handle better wind velocities and such. The top speed in sports mode, it has 3 modes: tripod, sports, and cine mode. So, or I'm sorry, normal, cine mode, and sport mode. So in sport mode, it tops out at 25 miles an hour. and then it pretty much reduces that speed in increments of half. So when I put it in sports mode, as I said, 25 miles an hour, you drop it down to normal mode, and then you're going to get half that speed, so roughly about 12 miles an hour, 13 miles an hour. And then you drop it down to tripod mode or cine mode, which is essentially the smoothest you're going to get the drone, like the slowest, most cinematic footage you can get out of it. It'll drop it down to about 6 to 8 miles an hour, I believe. As far as the speed is concerned on the drone. Now, it has video capture capabilities, it has photo capture capabilities, and it has the quick shots. Now, in the 2.7K mode, you have a setting where you can drop it down to 1080p, which is what I film in most of the time anyways. It's very, very good quality footage, and because of the 3-axis gimbal, there's 2 different modes you can do. You can do first person flight mode, which locks the pan axis on the gimbal, so when you turn when the drone tilts to an angle, when you're moving it side to side, the camera will actually tilt with the drone. Or you could have it in regular mode, which allows the gimbal to keep the footage completely level no matter how the drone is oriented, which is very useful, again, for cinematic footage. When it first came out, it did not have the ability to control your shutter speed or ISO in video mode. You could only control those features in the photo mode. But since then, they have done a firmware update that makes this a real competitor in the filming market, because now you can adjust the aperture, or not the aperture, I'm sorry, you can adjust the shutter speed and the ISO while filming in video mode. One thing that I've found about it that is, it's just not as, if I could have had it on there, I would have loved to have had it on here, is that it has, on this drone, you can adjust the speed and smoothness of your gimbal. On the Mavic Air Ii, you can't do that. I'm not sure why. I'm hoping that they release a firmware update soon to fix that issue. It'd be easy to fix with a firmware update, and I'd love to be able to control the gimbal speed and smoothness, because sometimes I found while I'm flying my Air Ii, it just seems a little jerky on the footage, but you can just throw it down into tripod mode and that'll solve that issue. So pretty much that's the basis of the Mini itself. It is a great drone. It comes in at a really amazing price. It does not have active track, unfortunately. You can't just track moving objects with it. And another thing that it's lacking is it has no sensors in it for obstacle avoidance other than on the bottom. There are these 2 little infrared sensors here. So if you're going to be flying over terrain, and say you're a foot off the ground, you're flying over terrain and you're flying towards a hill, it will see the hill and it will raise itself up automatically above the distance of the hill so that it doesn't crash into the hill. But as far as front, sorry about that, some jerk with a motorcycle just drove through my neighborhood, really. Anyway, so, but as far as that goes, there are no front, back, or side sensors. As far as I'm aware, they don't make any drones with top sensors. I've never seen one anyways. Maybe they do, maybe the Pro has it, I don't know. But there are no sensors on this other than your bottom facing sensors. So if you're not that experienced with the drone to begin with, I would definitely suggest taking it to an open area to kind of get a feel for the controls before you just start flying it around obstacles and such, because there is a good chance that you will crash it. Now, with both of these drones, they offer Dji Care, which is essentially an insurance plan that covers quite a range. Other than stolen or lost drones, it covers if you crash it into water, it covers it if you crash it into a wall. Anything that you might do to the drone, they will replace it for a minimal fee. If you pay, I think I paid $40 for the insurance on this drone. And as you get better quality drones, it incrementally goes up in price. So this was $40 for the Dji Care. My other drone, the Mavic Air Ii, I think it was $80 for the Care package. But it's good for 1 year and up to 2 drone replacements. So that is definitely something I would suggest looking into if you are going to be purchasing a drone, especially from DJI. Now, the batteries that run off that, they last 31 minutes each. Actually, I'm sorry. the Mavic Air 2 is a 31-minute battery. The Mavic Mini is a 34-minute battery. So you've actually got a little bit more battery life there. And they run off of these, I think there are 3,500 milliamp batteries. With the Fly More kit, you get 3 of the batteries, and with the drone itself, you get 1. So as I bought the Fly More kit, I can keep the drone in the air for roughly about an hour and a half. Now they tell you never let the battery deplete itself all the way down to 0. I usually cut it off around 20%, or as soon as the battery indicator goes red. That's when I'll cut it off. And another thing is, you do not want to charge these batteries while they're hot. You need to let them cool down, and it will extend the battery life to your drone so much. It's just something you really should do. I've seen people who don't listen to the rules of the battery, and within 2 weeks they've already burnt through a battery and they have to go buy a new one because they didn't pay attention and they charged them while they were super hot, and they would constantly run the battery down to 0 just to get that extra 5 minutes of flight time, which I don't think is worth losing a $79 battery for. So that's what they look like. They actually just slide into the back here. You lift up this door on the back of the Mini, and the battery just sits in the compartment right there. It's really awesome. I like the design of it immensely. It's one of my favorite tools. Now, I will say, since I bought my Mavic Air 2, I have not flown my Mavic Mini very much. I'm going to go ahead and throw on some footage right now of the Mavic Mini, and here's some footage I took in my neighborhood of the Mini, just to give you an idea of the kind of quality that the footage displays. I know YouTube compresses their images, so you're getting a worse quality image than what I see on my computer, obviously. So just give it like a couple notches above what I'm going to show you, and that's pretty much what the footage really looks like. Really great footage though, really great footage. So here's that footage now. Alrighty, so now that you've seen the Mavic Mini footage, we're going to go ahead and switch over now to the Mavic Air 2, which in my opinion, if I had to choose between the two drones and I had the money, this is the drone I would go with 100%, period, hands down. For the price point of this drone, you're getting an incredible value. Now, this drone comes out to 570 grams, so you're definitely going to have to register this drone with the FAA. I have my phone number and some information here I got with a label maker, and then I have right here a little piece of tape. I bought a little label maker slapped on my registration number, because as I said, you'll definitely have to register this drone because it is over that 250 gram limit. But it's only a $5 fee. One-time fee. You go online, you take it. Now, I have heard some news going around saying that eventually they're going to implement a test that you have to take to get your registration. For me, I didn't have to take one because they have not implemented this feature yet into their website, but I would definitely suggest trying to get in there and get your drone registered before they do implement that feature, because it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to have to take a test just to get your registration number and fly legally. Some of the things that are different about this drone that I absolutely love is these are the batteries. It's a 4,500 milliamp battery. They're different than the Mini as they come out of the back of the drone itself, and they have the actual power button on the battery instead of the drone like the Mini does. This one, you just literally click the battery into place and you're good to go. It has a 31-minute life on the battery. So again, if you get the Fly More kit, which comes out to $9.89 as opposed to $7.99, you're getting 3 of these batteries, you're getting the charger, you're getting all of that good stuff. Now, this is the last drone that DJI has produced. They're supposedly, I hear they're coming out with the Mavic Pro 3 very shortly. This is the Mavic Air Ii. The design is incredible, and the specs on it really blew my mind. It shocked me a lot because up until this point, even the Pro line doesn't have certain features that this drone has. Like, this drone is capable of shooting 4K at 60 frames a second. The only other drone that they have that does that on the market is going to be the Phantom 4. That's a $2,000 drone almost. This one comes in at half the price and has that capability. So it's very impressive that they were able to shove all of these features into a drone at the price point they made. The Mavic Pro and the Mavic Pro 2 do not shoot in 4K at 60 frames a second. I think they max out at 30 frames a second. So with the Pro, or with the Air 2, you're going to get the low noise propellers, which are very, very convenient in a situation where you're trying not to bother neighbors or people in the area. The decibel level that they run at is minimal compared to even the Mavic Air. I have a buddy who has the Mavic Air, and I've been around him while he's flown it, and it's a very loud propeller noise that you hear. It's a whee, it's a loud whining, and this one is at least half the decibel level, if not a little bit under that. So when I'm at about 200 feet in the air with this, I can't even barely hear it at all. It's pretty silent. Also, they implemented a new controller system for the first time with this new drone, and I have my controller right here. This is the new Mavic Air Ii controller. Again, I bought a decal for it. So it's an amazing controller. Instead of having the cord hanging loose on the side of the controller, they have it packed and hidden away nicely in here, so it stays with the controller at all times. You lift up this top bracket, which doubles as your antenna, and you can fit almost any phone in the market. I have not found a phone yet that won't work with it. I own a Galaxy S10 Plus, and my wife owns a Galaxy Note 8. Her Note 8 fits in there, and there's still another inch that we could mess around with if we wanted to put even a bigger phone in there. And I'm pretty sure the Note line is one of the biggest phones on the market to date. So you shouldn't have any issues with getting your phone to work with it. Now, it runs off of a different app than all the other drones. Both of these do. They run off the DJI Fly app, which is a more robust app. It's taken away a lot of the features that the older app had and kind of simplified it. But for some reason, a lot of older devices have issues running the app. So you definitely want to have a newer tablet or phone to run the DJI Fly app without having glitches or system crashes with your app. But the range on this thing is incredible. It boasts a 6-mile range for the Mavic Air Ii. Now, it's illegal to fly a drone out of VOS, which is visual line of sight. You're not supposed to do that. And so I don't know why they gave it such a long range, because I know that I can't see 6 miles out, especially something that small. But who am I to say what you can see? Maybe you ate all your carrots when you were a kid and you have a very good eyesight. It has more than ample range, though. Now, this drone shoots in 4K, as I said, up to 60 frames a second. It has quite a bit more features in it than the Mini does as far as what you're able to film and capture. It has 4K modes, it has video photography mode, and then it has an ample supply of quick shots and panoramas as well. So you have not only the 4 quick shots that I told you about with the Mini, but you also have the asteroid, which essentially takes the view of the camera, it gets you in frame, backs out and up to about 200 feet, and then it kind of stitches together a 360 degree panorama view that turns into a globe, so it looks like you're standing on a little planet. It's really neat. They have a lot of panoramic shots. You can do vertical panoramics, you can do horizontal panoramics, you can do 360-degree panoramics. It also boasts a very, very good active track system. This is using active track 3.0, and I've noticed it's not perfect. It can lose its subject here and there, but from my comparisons to the Mini that doesn't have the active track at all, the features are very, very intuitive, and I've even been able to go behind trees or buildings and come out on the other side, and it will pick me back up and know I am the target it's looking after. So it does very, very good as far as the tracking system goes, opposed to the Active Track 2.0, which are in the Mavic Pro, the Mavic Pro Platinum, all of the other drones that they've released up until this point. So you've got the extra quick shot modes, you've got the active track, which you can do a spotlight active track in, and that essentially is where you can control the drone, have it move anywhere you'd like, but the camera will stay on your target. Or you can do parallel or follow in the active track modes too. Parallel will position the drone on the side of an object, parallel with it, just like it says, and while you're moving, it will follow it. And then follow, it's either behind or in front of the object, and it'll go backwards or it'll go forwards and follow. Now, it does have sensors on it, not as many as the Pro. The Pro has bottom, back, forward, and side sensors. This one is missing the side sensors, so honestly, I wouldn't personally suggest flying it sideways and using the parallel tracking mode, as it could cause you to crash the drone, just because it doesn't have a sensor and it's flying sideways. But other than that, the obstacle avoidance on this is amazing. I've tested it out with a friend who was brave enough to let me fly this directly at his head, and it picked him up, saw him there, and I pushed forward on the controller and it came right at him and moved around his head. So, and I didn't make the controls do that, I was just aiming it directly at his head. So again, very brave friend of mine to let me willingly try that out with him. The obstacle avoidance in it is like I said, it's amazing, and at other times you can literally fly it directly at something. Like if you have a building and you have the obstacle avoidance triggered, turned on, you can fly it directly at a building and it will stop. It will not let you go forward towards the building. So it's really hard to crash that drone as long as you're not flying in a sideways motion. Another feature that this drone has that no other drone in the market has had yet is it has this new feature. They even have it written right on the side. It's called ADS-B Sense, and it's also known as AirSense technology. And what it is essentially the drone itself has a receiver in it, and when a manned aircraft is in the area, it will notify you that there is a manned aircraft in the area, and it will also give you an image of that manned aircraft on a little map for you to check out. It'll let you check out where the location of the plane is, and it helps you avoid collisions with manned aircrafts, which I find to be a very useful trait, and from what I've heard, it's something that DJI is going to be going forward with all of their new drones. They should all be incorporating this feature into them. The battery life on this one, I don't know if I said it already, but it lasts 31 minutes. So you've got so many more features with this drone, and the camera is a way better camera. It's a 48 megapixel. It's actually a 12 or 48 megapixel camera depending on what mode you have it in. It supports HDR, which is incredible, and it's also got a smart mode. So it pretty much takes your photo or your video and it uses computer software to determine what the best exposure for your video is. And with the smart mode, I've noticed there's not really ever even any need to color grade your footage. So I've really enjoyed using that mode in it. It's just very intelligent. Its return to home feature is amazing. It does, like with this one, I've had it land within an inch of where it took off from. So for the price point on this drone, I would say with all the features you get, it is, again, a great value. I don't know how they managed to put it directly between the Pro and the Mini and have it have so many features, some that even the Pro versions don't have. Like, I would venture to say that the Mavic Air 2 is better than the Mavic Pro 1, the first edition, you know, other than in low light, because you're gonna have better low light images with that 1-inch sensor. But with this new quad bear sensor, it's a 12 megapixel photo, or you can switch it over to a 48 megapixel photo. Now, I'm not going to go into how the quad bear sensor works. That's a long video in itself. And this video is already, I think, pushing 30 minutes. So, essentially, you can take a 48 megapixel photo, which is, it keeps incredible detail even when you zoom in from a far distance. And if you're taking a landscape image, you can zoom in and probably get 4 or 5 different photos from one photo. So depending on the landscape you take a picture of, if there's anything interesting in the background. But I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to show you some footage from the Mavic Air 2. Now this is 4K, 60 frames a second. Again, I know YouTube compresses all of its footage, so anything you see, just know that this is what it looks like on my computer screen is going to be better quality than what you're seeing on YouTube, just because it's YouTube and they have a compression rate. So other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed about it. You have to register it. It's got all those modes. It's an amazing buy. It's an amazing value. It does have obstacle avoidance. It has return to home. It has smart HDR, 48 megapixel, low noise propellers. It goes up to 42 miles an hour. So in sports mode, this one will travel 42 miles an hour, and then in normal mode, it cuts it down to about 21 miles an hour, and then in tripod mode, it cuts it down again by an increment of 50%. So it'll be about 10 or 11 miles an hour. These drones are insane. It's incredible technology, and if you are a content creator or a filmmaker or a photographer even, I would highly suggest getting the Mavic Air 2. If it's in your budget, over the Mini any day of the week. Now, if it's not in your budget, I would definitely go for the Mini, just because it's a great drone in itself, and for what you pay, you get an amazing value. So that's pretty much all I got going today. I just wanted to get this out here to you guys. Sorry the video was so long. I do appreciate all of you guys who stuck with it and watched the whole video. If you found any of this information useful, please hit that like and subscribe button down below and hit the bell notifications for future content. I'm always putting out new content, and I really appreciate all my subscribers. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and until next time, stay creative, my friends.